Hello, welcome back. I want to talk in this video about this question of, is China communist? I think it's quite often taken for granted that China simply is communist. It's certainly governed by a communist party, and we hear the term communist China used quite often. But the fact that China is ruled by a communist party doesn't actually mean that China is a communist country. In fact, not even China's leaders consider China to be communist. China calls itself socialist. It always has, ever since the founding of the People's Republic of China in 1949. Whether or not China actually is socialist is, I think, open to dispute. I'm quite skeptical about it, and that's something I'll talk about in another video. But still, we hear this term communist China used a lot. What I want to suggest is that when we hear this term used, inaccurately in fact, it's quite often used by certain political commentators or politicians who perhaps are using it as a kind of political strategy because they want to portray China or depict China in a certain kind of way. They want to draw implied comparisons between bad communist China and us good liberal democracies, and to imply that there's this kind of existential struggle going on between communist China and the good Western liberal democracies, and China is kind of a threat, in fact a growing threat, to the liberal democratic part of the world. So there's this idea that this is a kind of a new Cold War going on. We hear this term new Cold War quite a lot, and we also hear this term communist China as pitted against this term the rules-based international order, which is again supposedly represented by and led by liberal democracies. But in China, they don't call themselves communist because for them it's something that they're moving towards. When the Chinese Communist Party came to power, they came in with this idea that they wanted to establish a communist state eventually, and they were inspired by the ideas of Karl Marx. But here's the thing, Karl Marx didn't actually leave much of a blueprint for these Chinese communist revolutionaries, or indeed anyone else, for what communism, once achieved, was actually supposed to look like. So after they had won power, there were lots and lots of very intensive debates within the Communist Party about how to achieve this communist society. And there were debates about things like how to organise the land, how to organise production, how much control families and households should have over their own lives, or whether everything should be collectivized. And today, even though China is still governed by this same Communist Party that came to power in 1949, these debates are still going on. There is still discussions about what communism should look like and how to get there. It's still an unresolved question. Although I have to say it's not clear at the moment that many people actually still take the idea of communism seriously. In the next video, I will talk more generally about some different ideas of communism and what a communist society should look like and how to get there, because historically there's never been very much agreement on this. Thank you for watching.